Good morning. So today I'm getting my fall garden off to a start finally. So I've always spring and summer gardened, and then I've always kind of dabbled a little bit in fall gardening. But this year it's truly my goal to get produce out of the garden every single month for the whole year. So I'm gonna have to really up my game for my autumn and winter garden. And around here you can do that. I'm in Zone 8B in the Pacific Northwest, over on the Olympic Peninsula. And I'm in the little tiny sunny spot of the peninsula called Squim. So here you really can get food out of your yard every month. So right now I've been trying to plan my fall garden. It felt a little intimidating and like I need to plan better. It was a little more long-term where things are gonna go. I really wanna be successful. So this was my carrot, beet, and lettuce patch to start out with. And I've got cucurbits in here right now. I have these back here are my cucumbers. And this area gets pretty good sun throughout the day. These ones, I was hoping they would trellis up here and then along the back and get a little bit of more shade. It's definitely only part sun though. We get shade everywhere in our yard, so that's always a struggle, figuring out where the plants that need the most sun, they get first dibs basically on the best spots. So what I'm doing today is I'm just putting in some greens because we haven't had greens for a few weeks because I didn't keep succession planting. So I have some little starts. I have some red boar kale. So these I'm planning on having in here longer term. I'm hoping to be able to perpetually pick through these through a good amount of the year. I'm gonna plant a few more varieties and some of them a little bit later in the season, so they hopefully last longer. Kale is one surprisingly, okay, here everybody grows kale. Kale does amazing here. I love kale. I have not grown it in years and years and years. So I'm excited to do it this year. I have a dinosaur kale seeds that I'm getting ready to start also, but I was at the nursery grabbing some lime and they had some starts, so you know I just can't leave those. So this kale I'm gonna put over in this corner here. This is west facing, so this gets the morning sun and goes over, and then it gets a good amount for the afternoon. We have really big Douglas fir trees right behind you, and I'm gonna actually limb them up even more to hopefully just sneak in as much sun as I can get. But I think I'm gonna go ahead and put them in this corner, and then I've got some spinach and some romaine, so then I'm gonna go romaine, spinach. Because in that corner I have these baby cucurbits that I really want to do well, and I think they're really stunted because I had beets here originally and the greens got huge, so they were very shaded most of the beginning of their life. So I'm trying to keep the shading down to a minimum so that that area still gets some sun. So I'm gonna go ahead and pop these in. What I like to do is I already got the area ready. I dug it out and then I put in a little bit of complete fertilizer. This is what I've been using. Seems like it's okay. I'm not a huge like mender fertilizer person. That's another thing I'm trying to get better at, about, you know, what nutrients do I need to add. I try really hard to just use compost, worm tea, some liquid seaweed. But I'm trying to do a little better and be more mindful about adding specifically what each plant needs. So we're just starting off with that. We'll see how it goes. But I like to pull them all out so that I can plan exactly where they're going. I've got 6 little plugs here. And I watered these yesterday with just a little bit of worm tea. And then, so I think what I'll do is I think I'm gonna go 2 by 3. I know these get fairly big. So I'm gonna try to give them space so they can, you know, be their own thing. So, and these guys are just little, so it's just as easy as getting a little hole with your trowel, popping them in, and then I'm gonna try to make sure these have a nice firm bottom to them because these plants can get pretty tall. And we'll see how these guys do early in the season. I don't know if they're gonna overwinter or not, if I'm gonna end up pulling these, you know, a little later in the season and replacing them. Not totally sure, so we'll find out. So the other nice thing that I really try to do for my soil is in my compost, I have worms. I have so many worms. I got them years and years and years ago, and they've even moved with me a few times back when I was renting. And so the nice thing is whenever I'm adding compost, I'm also adding a lot of worms, and they just keep multiplying. So every time I'm digging, I'm finding worms, and I think that makes a huge difference. All right, there's that guy. So, and these might be closer together than other people would do them. That tends to be sometimes my pitfall. I always plant things a little closer together, but this bed, as you can see, it's pretty tall. And so what I always try to do when I put in my new plants in these tall beds, if I plant them closer together, which is pretty much always, I try to really deeply water them the first several weeks. I'm trying to get that root system to go down deep instead of out, because there's a ton of room for them to go down. And a lot of times that works out okay. It worked out great with my brassicas this year. I planted them closer than I realized. Once they get big, you go, oh, I should have given them more space. But I really, really deeply watered them early in the spring all the time. And that's exactly what happens. That root system went down really deep, and they did just fine. And I was able to fit in a lot more than normal because I'm not working with a ton of space. I try to sneak beds in anywhere I can, basically wherever the sun is. I don't have a perfect grid. I try to make it look, you know, organized, but it really is sun patches. So, all right, so that's that. Oh yeah, the other thing I have is this Swiss chard. I kind of forgot about. I got red. I have seeds for the bright light Swiss chard as well. I think what I may end up doing, we'll see if they can all, I think I can get them all in here. I may actually end up putting them at that back corner. Nah, no, we'll go ahead and put them here. I'm gonna stay with my height idea, try to change it up. So I'll put those in next. And these are my little, I like using these little leftover willow sticks to just kind of divide them out and keep my rows straight if I can. So let's keep moving along. So yeah, so these are the ones, I guess down here, I'm probably looking at the wrong place when I'm talking to you. Hey. So these are the ones with the red stems. So I'm just gonna put my little stick here. I'll move you guys a bit so you can see better what I'm doing. See if that works a little bit better. So, okay, so I'm just gonna take my trowel and just kind of dig up a bit. When I had carrots in here, I really, really dug it over. With these greens, you know, I don't need to go quite as gangbusters or deep on them. But yeah, my roots did not do great this year, which I heard was kind of the general consensus in this area. Roots and vines just had a really funky year. My brassicas and my peas, man, those did amazing. I had the best brassicas I've ever had. But yeah, but my vines are hugely stunted. My roots had tons of leaves and not that much roots. And so that's another area where I went, okay, you know, maybe my soil in that particular spot wasn't ideal. So I'm trying to decide what I need to do to kind of combat that. All right, so a little sprinkle of fertilizer. And I'm just gonna mix that in a little bit. So, and I'd read somewhere, can't remember where, I've got all my books out the last couple weeks or so reading. And somewhere said that you need to add some lime before you do like your carrots and your beets. So I'm gonna look into that and think about doing that. Okay, so here comes Swiss chard. And these guys are, a lot of them have 2 plugs to each one. I'm gonna go ahead and plant them that way and see how they do. Oh, this one's got 3. If I notice that some are growing better than others, then I'll go ahead and snip those away. But I think with Swiss chard, I think you can leave a couple to a spot. I'm gonna try it out, see how it does. Okay, and this is cool. Look, you can see the roots are even kind of pink, which is pretty. Okay, so I'm gonna do the same thing, go 3 by 2. Try to keep it uniform and pretty-ish looking. And I think Swiss chard is another one that tends to get kind of tall, so trying to give it a nice firm bottom. And it's deceiving out. It's really cloudy today, so it looks more fall-like than usual, which I guess is appropriate. But today is the 24th, I believe, of July. So, you know, this is summer for us. Okay. So yeah, so those two, the kale and the Swiss chard, I tried to give, you know, a good amount of growing space. And next we have romaine and spinach, and those I'm gonna plant a little closer together, at least the spinach. Spinach I'm not too worried about crowding. The romaine I'll, you know, give just enough room for the size the heads usually get. Romaine is something that I always grow because it's definitely our favorite salad green, that and spinach. But I love me a Caesar salad, so we do a lot of romaine. I'd also heard one time from naturopath that romaine is one of the more nutrient dense greens. So if you like something, like if you normally like an iceberg or something, it doesn't have quite as many nutrients, so romaine is a really great substitute. So I always went with that and grabbed romaine first instead. All right. So, and since I had root veg in here, this soil's really not too compacted. I'm lucky mine has a good amount of sand in it, so it doesn't get compacted as much in these raised beds as some can. Sprinkle my fertilizer. There we go. But yeah, I've been spending the last few days really checking out seed varieties for fall, and I pulled out my seed box and went through to see kind of what I had already. Okay, so my video had to turn off because I got a phone call, but I just wanted to show you I'm all done now. And so here we are. So here I've got the spinach going, and then the romaine. And so I did like 3 by 2 this way. And then these guys are gonna get a little taller and bushier. So I went ahead and did them the opposite way. I've got my kale here and then the Swiss chard here. So I'm thinking that'll be great. These ones will be shorter seasoned, you know, so then that space will open up and I could put some more overwintering things. And then we'll see how long these guys last, if they'll actually go through the winter or if I'm gonna end up replacing them before it gets too cold. So that's it for this morning. It's time for me to go and get my kids out of bed and get my day going. But I hope you're having an awesome day. Hopefully it's sunnier where you are than it is here. It's supposed to get a little nicer later, but it's feeling a little chilly for July right now. So, all right, have a great day. Bye.